Now, when you say civilization's fragile, do you mean because of this COVID-19 shit that's going on right now?
What's that? Never heard of it.
It's this thing.
Yeah, no.
It's like some people just get a cough.
No idea what you're talking about.
Other people, it gets much worse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, this certainly has taken over the mind space of the world to a degree that is quite shocking.
Yeah. Well, out of nowhere. That's what's crazy. It's like you go back to November, nothing. Now here we are, December, January, February, March, April, May, 6 months. Totally different world. So from nothing to everything's locked down. There's so much conflicting information and conflicting opinions about how to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened. You find things where there was a meat packing plant, I believe, in Missouri where 300 plus people were asymptomatic, tested positive or asymptomatic. And then in other places, it just ravages entire communities and kills people. And it's so weird. It almost appears on the like if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, what? It seems like there's a bunch of different viruses. It doesn't seem like it's the same thing or has a bunch of different reactions to the biological variety of people.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of saw this whole thing play out in China before it played out in the U.S. So it's kind of like watching the same movie again, but in English. So, yeah. I mean, I think the mortality rate is much less than what say the World Health Organization said it was. It's very much less. It's like probably at least an order of magnitude less.
Well, it seems to be very deadly to very specific kinds of people and people with specific problems.
Yeah, I mean, if you can look at the mortality statistics, by age and whether they have comorbidities, like do they have like basically existing conditions, and by age, and if you're below 60 and have no serious health issues, the probability of death is extremely low. It's not zero, but it's extremely low.
They didn't think that this was the case, though, when they first started to lock down the country. Do you think that it's a situation where once they've proceeded in a certain way, it's very difficult to correct course?
It's almost like people really wanted a panic. So it's quite crazy.
But in some places, a panic is deserved, right? Like if you're in the ICU in Manhattan and people are dying left and right, and everyone's on intubators, and it seems like when you see all these people on ventilators and so many of them are dying, and you see these nurses are dying and doctors are getting sick, in some places that fear is justified. But then in other places, you're reading these stories about hospitals that are essentially half empty. They're having to furlough doctors and nurses because there's no work for them.
Most of the hospitals in the United States right now are half empty. In some cases, they're at 30% capacity.
And is this because they've decided to forego elective procedures and normal things that people would have to go to the hospital for?
Yes, I mean, we're not talking about just some of these elective procedures are quite important.
Yes.
Like it's like you have a bad heart.
Gallbladder disease, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you need a triple bypass. It's like sort of elective, but if you don't get it done in time, you're going to die.
Yeah. Elective's a weird word.
Yeah, elective. It's not like, hey, I want to. It's not like plastic surgery or something.
Right.
It's more like my hip is. I'm in extreme pain because my hip's blown out, or my knee, and I don't want to go to the hospital. I can't go to the hospital. People in extreme pain, people that need a kidney. Like people that have like quite serious issues that are choosing not to go out of fear. So I think it's a problem. It's not good.
It seems like the state of public perception is shifting.
It is.
Like people are taking some deep breaths and relaxing, and because of the statistics I mean, and essentially across the board, it's being recognized that it's not as fatal as we thought it was. Still dangerous, still worse than the flu, but not as bad as we thought or we feared it could be.
I mean, objectively, the mortality is much lower. Like at least a factor of 10, maybe a factor of 50 lower than initially thought.
Do you think that the current way we're handling this, the social distancing, the masks, the locking down, does this make sense? Is it adequate? Or do you think that we should move back to at least closer to where we used to be?
Well, I think proper hygiene is a good thing no matter
Yes.
what. Wash your hands and if you're coughing, stay home or wear a mask. This
Yes.
is not good. Like they do that in Japan. That's like normal.
Yeah.
If you're ill, you wear a face mask and you don't cough on people. I think that would be a great thing to adopt in general throughout the world. Washing your hands is also good.
Well, that's the speculation why men get it more than women, because men are disgusting. We don't wash
Men
our
are
hands
disgusting.
as much.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah,
I
it's
admit
bad.
it. We're all men
Yeah.
in this room. We're all gross.
Yeah, let's go to the restroom. You can see it's
Yes,
horrible.
we're gross. My 9-year-old daughter yells at me. She
Yeah.
goes, "Did you wash your hands?" She makes me go back and wash my hands. She's right. 9 years old. If I had a 9-year-old boy,
Sure.
do you think he would care?
No.
He wouldn't give a fuck if I washed my hands.
True. So I think there's definitely some silver linings here in improved hygiene
Yes.
and
An awareness of potential.
yes, and I think this has shaken up the system. The system is like somewhat moribund with a lot of layers of bureaucracy, and I think that we've cut through some of that bureaucracy. And if we at some point there probably will be a pandemic with a high mortality rate. There's debate about like what's high, but I mean like something that's killing a lot of 20-year-olds, let's say, like
Right.
like it's
Yes.
if you had like Ebola type of mortality.
Spanish flu, something that attacks
Yeah,
the immune
yeah,
systems of healthy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like killing large numbers of young healthy people. That's define that as like a high mortality. Then this is at least practice for something like that. And I think there's given it's just a matter of time that there will be eventually some such pandemic.
Do you think that in a sense, the one good thing that we might get out of this is the realization that this is a potential reality, that we got lucky in this sense? I mean, in people that didn't get lucky and died, of course, I'm not disrespecting their death and their loss, but I'm saying overall, as a culture, as a community, as a human race, as a community, this is not as bad as it could have been. This is a good dry run for us to appreciate that we need far more resources dedicated towards understanding these diseases, what to do in the case of pandemic, and much more money that goes to funding treatments and some preventative measures.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a good chance, it's highly likely, I think, coming out of this that we will develop vaccines that we didn't have before for coronaviruses and other viruses, and possibly cures for these. And our understanding of viruses of this nature has improved dramatically because of the attention that it's received. So there's definitely a lot of silver linings here. And
Potentially, if we act correctly.
Yeah. There's, I think there will be some amount of silver lining here, no matter what. Hopefully, it can be more of a silver lining than less.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like kind of like a practice run for something that had a potential that might in the future have a serious, like a really high mortality rate. And we kind of got to go through this without it being something that kills, vast numbers of young healthy people.
Yeah. When you made a series of tweets recently, I don't remember the exact wording, but essentially you were saying "Free America now." Like, let's
That is the
open it
exact
back.
wording.
That is it. Thank you.